Good afternoon, everyone. Where there's no just me. My guest is here sitting beside me. We've been having a grand old chat for the last 5 minutes. I was telling Barbara when I was upstairs getting ready, I put my confidence soundtrack on, and up came, you know that song where what's it now?
What song? This is my
fight song. This is my fight song. And I was like, oh, this is so Barbara. I was upstairs with my arms out, giving it socks. Ian heard me coming down the stairs. He's like, you coming down to fight with me now? And I was like, no. And it was real rare. Let's do this. And of course, it's right in tune with my amazing guest, Barbara Byrne, today. And we're going to talk about marketing, marketing your business. So Barbara, you're very, very welcome.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Oh, you know what? It's a pleasure. And, most of the times when I'm giving talks about marketing or when I'm talking about my academy or my clients, Barbara's story always comes up. And in the last few programs here on a Tuesday, you've heard us talking about the ideal client. Barbara, tell us about when we met each other. There was one main challenge that you really had tried to overcome in the past, but were really struggling with. So tell us about your journey to finding your ideal client.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I had been doing this for, is the sound okay actually?
Huh?
I'm just wondering, is the sound okay? Because it doesn't sound okay at my end.
Yeah, it's a little bit glitchy.
Maybe I'll try taking it. I'm worried that the sound from the background, I don't know if it's any better.
No, you're okay now.
Okay. Yeah, when I came to you, I had done a bit of work around trying to identify my ideal client. But there was a gap and I couldn't figure out what that gap was. I wasn't quite feeling it. And although I was ticking the boxes, going through the information in terms of what they would look like with a mammy, they were basically somebody just like me who had their own struggles in their life, maybe with their weight loss, with their own self-belief. But there was still something just not quite right. And then a question was actually posed to me in terms of, it was somebody who knows me well and knows a story that I shared about standing in the wardrobe. I say standing in the wardrobe, the mirror was inside the wardrobe door. And I remember thinking, well, look at the stadia and look at, the sad eyes. And I described the parts of my body that I hated. I was still very overweight at that stage. And she said, and remember, how did you feel? And I said, I felt desperate. All I wanted was someone to say, I can help you. And she went, that's how you know you're dealing with your ideal client, because that's what you want, is to be able to help women who are just like you. Not just about weight loss, though, because what I realised was it was so much deeper than that. It was all of the emotional stuff that was behind it. As somebody who had marriage breakdown, grief, the weight, I use food as a crutch, food and drink, and I'm now nearly very close to coming up to a year of no alcohol.
Congratulations.
So it's and that's part of the, I suppose, the challenges that I set myself to show myself that when I start to doubt things, that I have evidence of, well, no, hold on a second, you were able to overcome this, you were able to overcome, and it's not about, because I know we have mentioned this, I had a big issue around, I didn't want to be putting myself out there. I didn't want to be telling my story. There was a bit of shame and embarrassment behind that as well.
Yeah.
So through the academy and through yourself, and we can and we will, that was just, it was the freedom that I found, which is so important to me, was to be able to find that freedom to share my story in the hope that it would help somebody else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know what? It's when I think of the journey that you've been on, I've been privileged to watch Barbara, and this is why the fight song is so relevant. I've been privy to watch the whole breakthroughs, and when there's a breakthrough coming, I know for me, when just before a breakthrough, I feel like running the other way. And it usually means you're on the verge of breakthrough. So we've had lots of tears. We often say it's not the business. We know we're qualified. We know we can deliver and get results. But sometimes it's that bridge, as Barbara said, it's that bridge to, can I put myself out there? And, because you have to put yourself out there if you want to deliver.
Yeah.
these programs or help you in order to find the clients and let them know what to do. That's what marketing is. But it's that bridge. So that brings us on to imposter syndrome. Talk to us about when it comes to marketing and putting yourself out there. And I know you've experienced this. And the reason why we're bringing this up today is because I know from talking to people privately and inside my group, this is real. It really happens to many, many business owners when it comes to it's time to actually tell people what you do. This syndrome comes in its droves. So Barbara, talk to us a little bit about, what it feels like if you're going through imposter syndrome, because I remember the first time I heard that word, I was like, oh, it's a real thing. I'm not alone. And then, how does it feel when you're in it? What does that look like, feel like? And then we'll go through, well, how do you bring yourself through that and fight and come back?
Yeah, I suppose when you're in it, you're thinking like, who am I? What experience have I got? How can I make a difference? And that was probably the big thing. And then I suppose I was thinking, sure, there's a conflict here because I'm a Slim and More consultant and I'm a transformation coach. So, but what I found was I've been a Slim and More consultant for over 10 years. So I knew I had lots of skills and lots of ways that I could help people to change their lives. But where the coaching came in was being able to take it so much deeper. And that's what I suppose I uncovered for myself over the years was there's so much more behind it. Most people, when it comes to weight loss, they think it's just a case of move more, eat less. And that's only on the tip of the surface. Because if you don't know what's causing you to torture yourself by using food as that crutch, if you can't figure that out, you're going to go through that cycle of weight loss, weight gain, weight loss, weight gain. But it's your self-belief. And this is the big thing that I'm working on really right now, your own image and how you perceive yourself. And once you start to realize your worth, then you kind of go, no, hold on a second. First of all, I have evidence that I can change. And I think that's a big thing. And if once you have the evidence that you've done it with one thing, you can then bring it into other areas. And that has been, I suppose, what has empowered me. And I know it came up in memories the other day that everybody was talking about Thrive. And I know even then, when I met you, at that stage, I only barely knew you, a few months from We Can We Will. And you suggested with myself and another lady, Karina, that we step up to a challenge. And of course, I went, sure, why not? It hasn't happened yet due to COVID, but it was to try a Thai, and I'm not a confident swimmer, but I just thought, well, that would be a great excuse to learn to swim properly. And of course, within 2 weeks, we were in lockdown. So, and you actually helped me with my very first swimming lesson. So even just doing that, it's that thing of when you take the step, you've got the evidence to show you it's not that scary and it will be okay. And once you do one thing, it then gives you the courage to try something else or to move forward, I suppose, for yourself more so than anything else.
Well said. And it's the exact same with your marketing. It's the very same with your marketing. It's like my first video, my first post, my first blog, my first event. And I know you did very brave last year with your Camino walks.
Yeah.
So I have to say, I always look at you with total admiration. Here we are in lockdown, but you did not allow that to stop you. You learned how to plan, how to market, how to sell, how to create events. I watched you grow and grow and grow through the whole year. And you did have a Camino walk last year.
Despite, I had three.
You had three Camino walks last year.
Yeah.
With that determination. I told you that fight song. There is nothing that gets in this lady's way, even imposter syndrome. There mightn't be a way that we can dissolve it all together, but she'll always find a way through it. And I love that, looking at the evidence. So if you are feeling a little bit overwhelmed or you're trying to cross that bridge of how do I get my business out there, look at the evidence. If your mind is playing tricks and you're telling you you think you are and all sorts of stuff, we all have evidence. There's testimonials. Maybe you've helped a friend, maybe you've experienced yourself. I know Barbara has. And this brings me in, I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place because this lady, I have to say, she's incredible. Many times when people come to me and they've got 2 or 3 hats, let me know in the comments, do you wear 2 or 3 hats? Have you got 2 or 3 businesses going? That can get very much muddled, especially when it comes to the marketing. Who am I speaking to? How do I not cross wires here? Barbara has very successfully run 3. So yeah, she has her Slim and World consultancy, and she's got a phenomenal group and has done for years. She has her coaching business now. We'll talk about more of that in a minute, and the Camino walks. Now they all tie in beautifully, Barbara, right? So tell the audience, how do you manage running the 3 aspects of your business in marketing terms, as in promotion? Where do you spend your time? How do you manage all that?
I think the big realization was that my audience was already in front of me. And because I was so concerned about conflict of interest, because I didn't want to be in breach of my franchise license either. So I was very aware of that. So then it was a case of what I realized was that my members were people who were reaching out to me. They wanted to go further. They wanted that extra help. They wanted to learn more, but I knew that I couldn't do it in that role. So then with the Camino, I suppose from the Camino side of things, that was my passion. That was something that when I was overweight, I wasn't able to do, but I knew that one day I would like to do. So when I got the opportunity in 2016 to do it with the Marie Keating Foundation, I just became obsessed. I wanted to see how could I bring this experience, because it was basically 12 women who didn't know each other beforehand, coming together, supporting each other. 6 of them were cancer survivors. 1, unfortunately, passed away just before Christmas. And the impact it had on, she was an amazing lady, Bernie, but the impact that it had on each other, being in each other's company, supporting each other. There was days where it was you were really tired. You were, well, I don't know about me, but I certainly wasn't homesick. It was only a week, but it just gave me that real understanding of what a group of women supporting each other, or men, because it can be men too, a group of women and men together supporting each other, where the only thing you have to think of was one foot in front of the other. So there was the freedom of being outside. There was also the freedom to be yourself and to think without having to worry about the kids or your work or cooking or cleaning. So basically all you had to do was show up for yourself. So it was the learning that you got, the personal learning. I think that was huge for me.
And transformational. So when we look at the 3 aspects of your business, there are 3 areas where people transform from one place to a better place.
And it's interesting there, because when I tell you there was imposter syndrome, I'll never forget ringing my partner 2 or 3 days in and saying, oh, holy Jesus, there's the CEO of this place, and there's the lady who owns this firm and has 30-something employees, and there's a lady with a legal firm, and there's a journalist. And I was like, oh, Jesus, who am I? And he went, how many years have you been self-employed running your Slim and World franchise? You pull your big girl pants up and get the fuck back in there. Or something along those lines. And I was like, for some reason, I didn't see it. I just didn't see it. And it was Richie actually saying that to me that made me go, yeah, I've earned my place to be here just like everybody else. Yeah. And that was so liberating as well. But they were amazing women, really great friends, still in touch now all these years later, you know. So that was my first big, I suppose, imposter syndrome awareness.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was after 6 years of being self-employed. So there you go. Here I am over 10 years, nearly 11 years.
Well, you know what I always say about imposter syndrome? If you don't have greatness in you and you haven't got that prospect to be amazing, you're half asleep. You're not going to get imposter syndrome. So when you get it, say yes. I have something to have imposter syndrome for, and it's not me and Barbara who experience it. It's it is those top successful. Anybody who's on their way to success will tell you, if you ask them, and they love talking about it, have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And I bet you the answer is yes. It is huge. It is more common than we care to believe when we're going through it ourselves. But I myself have a drawer here. I'm always talking about my drawer here. Anybody sends me a thank you card or no, and that's written, is in my drawer. And on my desktop, I also have a whole bank of testimonials. And you need that some days when you're just having those tough days that says, go on. And even when it comes to video, I know you're big into the video now. So tell us about your video marketing journey. dance song on video. Freddie Mercury and
yeah. And it's funny because my mum and my sister only last week rang me up when the song came on to take the mic and have it. But I just, of course, what did I do? They were on the phone. I just jumped up and started doing it. And even thinking of that song, Don't Stop Me Now, like it's so powerful for me in terms of how far I've come. But the very first video I ever did, I was actually at a Slim and More promotion at Christmas. It was probably about 5 years ago. I can't even remember how long ago it was now. A lady called Helena Gilhooly had a jewellery stand next to mine, and she went, oh, for God's sake, not Slim and World. I Slim and World on one side and I have the cake lady on the other. But we ended up, we really hit it off. And I was doing a raffle and she said to me, should go live. That's the way it is. She does huge social media stuff around Twitter. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not going live. And she went, why not? And I went, okay then. So we did the raffle. She said, I'll hold your phone. You pull the raffle ticket, announce what it's all about, do it live. And that was the first time I had done it. So once I had done it once, what I noticed was I was doing it within my Slim and More group. So if I wanted to tell them anything, I was like, actually, it's quicker to get it, jump on and do a video than it is to send a message. So that's kind of what I started to do. And then with my coaching page, it was just slowly but surely realizing that there's so many ordinary, everyday things that are happening that are relevant.
Yes. And
I was overthinking it. Basically, I was overthinking it.
If you have a pen and paper, take note. Stop overthinking. Lots of stuff, everyday stuff is relevant to your ideal client. If you know who your ideal client is and you're living in their head when you're thinking about your content, you will go and sing with Freddie Mercury on your page because you know that will uplift somebody at that day. If you're feeling, this is uplifting me, I know it'll uplift my audience. Go for it.
And that's exactly what it was about. It was because some of my members were saying they were feeling a bit off. And I was like, look, we all have these days. I'll tell you what I do. And it was in a conversation in group that I said it because we were still online last summer. And then I went, do you know what I'm going to do? I said, I'll send you a video of me doing it. And then I went, sure, I'm going to do it live. Everybody. And that's exactly what I did. And they all still say that it gives them, it cheers them up every time they think about it. So I thought, well, sure, look, if it's going to make somebody's day, well, then why not? It's a bit of fun. And I suppose for people to see, because I know I've had this discussion with you before, but I've had this feeling of, because of my accounts background, and I had this kind of stuffy business person, suits and shoulder pads, as it's been suggested. But it's to let people see the real you, that there isn't always, yes, there's a serious side to business, but there's also, the human side to it. Yeah. And especially with coaching and with weight loss, like it's even more important that the human side is seen. So that's I suppose been huge for me. Like I know I would have had issues with, I can't go on the video, my makeup isn't done. Now it's like a
biggie for women business owners. Yeah, it has to be done, the makeup. So that your best messages come when you and I learned when you're out running, out for a walk, full of inspiration, and it's like, if it's not now, when? I'm going to lose this. I have to share it.
Yeah, and that's usually when mine come, when I'm outside. Yeah, whether it's out walking or out running, but it's usually when I'm outside. So often you'll see me either in the rain, or at the moment it's a nice day today, but even at the weekend when I was out in the park. So it just depends on the day and what, as you said, what inspiration comes. But I randomly go live. I don't really plan videos. I might plan the written stuff that I want to share. But I'm very much off the cuff. If I feel like I want to discuss that today, jump on and off you go.
Love it. There's another thing that's coming into my head now before, as we wrap it up, but that was, you heard me saying it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. And we had an interesting conversation a few weeks ago, and that was somebody mentioned Camino in a group. And Barbara, how many times were you tagged?
Well, I don't know how many. And it did lead to me reaching out to the journalist that wrote the piece. He has asked me to send on information, which I have, and he just said, look, when things are up and running again, he's now looking at doing a piece on that.
So who knows you? Who knows what you're doing? Are you putting your message out there? Do people know what it is that you do and how you can help them? It is so important. Barbara's message about Caminos is everywhere. She is an active networker on social media, as well as putting out her own content. And it pays off. We can't be lone rangers in our marketing world. We need, people around us to grow our audience and give our names a shout. But if they don't know what you do, they can't tag you and they can't shout about you. My last two questions to wrap it up is, what has been your biggest challenge when it comes to marketing or selling for your business?
Well, I told you, I think initially it was nailing my ideal client. And actually then speaking to her, because I suppose the one thing that always stands out in my head that you would say is speak to one, speak to many, speak to many, speak to none.
Yeah.
So, and that is what I found now is where people will say, oh, I thought you only did X, Y, or Z. Oh, you can help me with that as well. So it's that realization. And I think that was where I was a little bit confused, because I thought, oh God, well, a coach can help people on so many different levels. Whereas if you were just putting yourself out there, then you weren't actually given any message. So there was confusion.
So who did you decide on when it came to picking your niche for coaching? Who did you decide on? I'm looking at my camera now, I'm a bit fuzzy looking. Who did you decide to choose as your ideal client, your niche market for your coaching? Who do you help?
Basically, I help, and this was huge for me to figure out, I help women to find their inner strength so they are no longer voiceless, faceless, and powerless in their own lives, just like I was. I had no control over lots of things that led me down a very dodgy path. And it was being able to understand I can say what I need to say. I can find my own power. And I know it can go against me. I'm very straight and I'm very honest, but I'd rather be myself than pretend to be something I'm not. And I then do say, if you're not my people, well then, march on, that's okay. We all find our own people ultimately. And it took me a long time to do that and to be comfortable with doing that and not trying to keep everybody else happy.
And now you help women to do the exact same. Tell us, you do have a program that's starting very soon. Tell us a little bit about that program.
I have a 4-week program that's all about self-care, but it's not just about, I know certainly for me, when I was younger, to me, self-care meant taking time to sit back and read a book or have a bath. But it's about going deeper so that you have a better understanding of things that will trigger you, about your emotions and how they can have an impact on the choices you make and decisions that you take as well. So that's going to be starting on the 15th. I think it's Thursday, the 15th of March. I'll double check. Yeah. I'd have to double check. But that's going to be released this week. Yeah.
So we'll pop your details in the comments underneath after we're finished. And my final question to you, what has been your biggest win when it comes to your marketing? What are you most proud of when it comes to overcoming and facing your marketing?
I think it was being able to create the event on Ticket Taylor, to be able to know the right words to say. I suppose another thing that always comes into my head, because there's a conflict here from a marketing point, starting at the end and knowing what you don't want to achieve. Whereas I know I would say to when the weight loss point, don't go think about the end, because you could torment yourself. So it depends on what your actual business is. So it's being able to then adapt the different strategies depending on what it is that you're actually doing. So that was huge, the start with the end in mind. But I always remember when you said back in October about creating the events, it took me no time to go in, edit, copy and paste and create every event from April to October for the community. So being able to use what you've already got instead of thinking, which is what I was doing, was overthinking. Recreate.
Yeah, no, it's do it and repeat, especially when it comes to events. We can and we will. It's the same event for 4 years. Get it right, get the marketing right, get the strategy right, and then just repeat. Which is phenomenal. It saves you time, saves your energy for something else. Barbara, it's been an absolute pleasure. I can see Tara O'Connor. Hello, ladies. This is exactly what I've been researching this morning. I think that was earlier on back in the comments. So thanks, Tara. So yes, this is already episode 5. I can't believe it. Next week, I've got 2 phenomenal guests as well. So thank you for watching us live. If you have watched it on a replay and you have got questions for Barbara, I know we're across multiple channels. So leave in your comments and we will get back to you. Either myself or Barbara will get back to you. And just so you know, I haven't said it already, but the academy that I run, the Marketing Academy, is open. So if it is something that you're interested in learning more about marketing your business, do please get in touch. Happy to have a chat and see if it's in line with what you need right now. And that's it. So Barbara, once again, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope and I know people will get, connect with that.
Thank you. And just before we go, I would say one of the huge things about the Academy that I found of huge benefit is the fact that you're not on your own. You're on the journey with the help and support. And sometimes other people see what you don't see, so they can help. That has had a huge impact on the help that I've received. Yeah. And it's amazing how you can often see what others don't see in themselves, and you can help them in the right direction too. So it's a mutual beneficial for.
You've made some phenomenal friends. It's been amazing.
Absolutely.
The friendship.
It's been great.
As I said, it's not just short of the nurturing. Jennifer Martin put up something this morning. Them friendships have all grown stronger. Nothing grows stronger unless it's nurtured. Yeah. And I've watched them, support. And let's face it, business is a roller coaster. Absolutely. It doesn't go like that. Oh, I want to sell something. I put it out, and it's like, boom, can I? Can't I? That didn't work. This doesn't. But having a safe place where you can come back and go, or help, or I can't do this, or I can't create ticket tailor, or I need help with this, is just phenomenal. It just helps you breathe and gain your steady legs and your confidence. Barbara, thanks a mil, and I will see you all soon. Thanks for watching, and take care, and I'll see you next week.